Who would have guessed that rocks in a river were an important reason why Columbia is located where it is today? But it's true. Prior to the coming of electricity in the Gilded Age, river systems were the interstate roads moving goods in and out of the interior of the United States. But there was one major problem, a geological boundary made up of these river rocks called the fall line. This fall line extended north to New York and as far south as Alabama, and numerous cities were built on it in order to circumvent the rocky shallows in a number of river systems. So, in 1819, the young city of Columbia began one of the most pioneering water transportation projects ever in the United States, called the Columbia Canal. The Columbia Canal of 1824 was just over 3 miles in length and began at Richland and Calhoun Streets, just north of the Columbia Water Treatment Plant. It ran parallel to the river and continued southward to Granby Park, just north of the railroad bridges that crossed the Congaree. Our first stop is the Columbia Canal Riverfront Park at the end of Laurel Street. This is a great park to visit if you like to learn about some of the history of Columbia. You enter the park by the Little Red Schoolhouse and then make your way down the sidewalk to the canal. When you get to the canal at the end of the walkway, you can see a little stone memorial in a small courtyard to the right. This is important history. It's in memory of the Irish indentured servants who came from Ireland to work on the 1824 canal in exchange for their freedom. It has been noted that many of these men who died working on the canal were buried in its banks. As you cross the iron bridge over the canal to the Three Rivers Greenway, you might think that what you are seeing is the 1824 Columbia Canal, but it's not. What you are seeing is a repurposed part of the canal called the 1896 extension, built from part of the path of the original canal in 1824, but much bigger. This 1896 extension was built to run a hydroelectric power plant at the end of this canal. The 1896 power plant replaced the older 1894 power plant, which can be seen on the opposite side of the iron bridge. We head north now on the Three Rivers Greenway, with the canal on the right and the river below on the left. It's a beautiful path to walk or jog, or to relax on the grassy riverbank below. We will soon notice a construction site ahead. This is approximately where the 1824 canal's most northern point began. We'll turn around now and begin walking south, attempting to find the path of the 1824 canal. As we leave Riverfront Park, you may be surprised to see some things you weren't expecting. Our next stop as we continue south along the river is in between the Hampton and Gervais Street bridges, where the 1896 hydroelectric power plant is located. It's no longer running, and there'd be no clear evidence of the 1824 canal still visible, but it would have come right through here. It's at this point I'd like to stop and make a comment. The building you see behind the 1896 hydroelectric power plant is the present-day South Carolina State Museum. But at the time this power plant was built, the museum was a large textile mill called the Duck Mill. The Duck Mill was the very first textile mill in the world to be completely powered by electricity, thanks to the hydroelectric power plant below it. We will continue heading south to Senate Street. It is here that history books tell us a big wharf was located for barges to load and offload their goods. It's hard to tell if there is any remaining features of the canal, but this would have been its obvious route. It is recorded that the original 1824 canal was a channel dug out with earthen banks. The banks would have been about 8 feet wide on either side of the canal, wide enough for a horse or a mule to pull a barge. The canal was 2.5 to 4 feet deep and 12 to 18 feet wide. There would have been a series of locks in it to raise the boats at least 36 feet to make up for the fall in the river. Our next stop south is the Blossom Street Bridge. As you might have noticed, I'm using an older 1928 map and some bridges are missing, but we know the general area. Looking north on the bridge, we see the clearing for the power lines, and it's difficult to tell where the canal would actually be. And looking south, we can see some elevated banks. We can assume the 1824 canal would have passed through here somewhere. Our last and final stop is at the end of Catawba Street in a beautiful little spot called Granby Park, named after the 18th century colonial settlement that was here prior to Columbia's establishment. I'm not expecting to find much. After all, I'm looking for 200-year-old shadows of the past. As I look north towards the Blossom Street Bridge, I wonder if these mounds have anything to do with the canal. It's possible, but there's no way to be certain. I have a little more to go, and for that I need to go on the Riverwalk. The southern part of the Three Rivers Greenway is here in Granby Park. It's such a quiet place, almost hidden away from the rest of the city. I started thinking to myself, what brought the 1824 Columbia Canal to an end? Well, the answer is quite obvious: the advancement in technology. Technology can disrupt the way we live very quickly, and once it's implemented, things can change very fast, whether we notice it at first or not. And this is what happened. Life did change. The railroads by the late 1840s made the Columbia Canal obsolete virtually overnight. The speed, quantity, and efficiency for moving goods and people throughout the United States made the railroad system far superior than moving goods by boat on a canal or a river. I finally reached the railroad bridge that goes over the Congaree River. It stands as a testament to a major technological disruption of the past, and a clear reminder that more disruptions will eventually come. Well, I turn around and I head back. It seems my search for remnants of the 1824 Columbia Canal has come to an end. But as I make my way through the woods, I happen to come upon something rather peculiar. It appears there's part of a canal running through the woods here in Granby Park. At first glance, it looks like it could be similar in size, but maybe a little smaller. Then my mind starts to ponder the possibility. Could this have been the actual path of the 1824 canal? I don't really know, but it sure makes me wonder.